Welcome to Synergy online classes. Today we will discuss inorganic chemistry questions which were given in online JEE mains on 2nd September evening session, that is shift 2 session. Actually, before starting the explanations, solutions, I will tell a few points on inorganic chemistry because many students find inorganic chemistry difficult or they are afraid of the inorganic chemistry as compared to physical and organic because they feel that it is more of remembering things or remembering oriented, so they don't like to remember so many things of inorganic. But actually, trust me one thing. Actually, in final exams, this inorganic is very important. Inorganic plays a very vital role. In what ways it plays a important role? One is it saves a lot of your time, which you can utilize for answering maths, physics, or other chemistry, other parts of chemistry also, because there's nothing much to calculate. So if you know the answer, or if you know the facts, or if you know the things, concepts, then you can answer the things very quickly without taking much time, which does not happen with other parts of chemistry or other subjects also. So it saves a lot of time, so which can utilize in other subjects. That is first advantage. Second, actually, when you're answering organic chemistry, physical chemistry, or maths physics, there's a high possibility that you can make errors in calculations wise or and other parts in thinking wise. You can make a lot of errors. But when it comes to inorganic chemistry, there are less chances of making errors, mistakes. So that means whatever time you spend on inorganic questions, they will give you most of the times 100% marks. So they will give you good marks, and as well as in time point of view also it saves a lot of time. So in both ways that is important. So that's why actually preparing inorganic is also is very important for examinations. Yes, I agree that before exams you have to before while during the preparation for the exam, yes, you have to struggle a lot to remember a lot of things. You have to write the summaries, you have to write on various papers all the summaries of the chapters, and you have to keep revising those things regularly so that you will remember things for longer time. But all this work, all this struggle, whatever you do during the time of preparation helps in the time of examination. Okay. So other subjects may take less time because they are not of memory oriented. But in examination, there are more chances of making errors, and it will take more time to approach to the answer. But in organic, opposite. During the preparation, you have to spend a lot of time, but in the examination, it takes less time. Okay. So which is more important? Examination taking less time is more important. In the 3 hours, how effectively you convert marks into effectively convert time into marks, that is more important. So that's why inorganic is very important. Don't neglect this part of chemistry. Now, when it comes to questions in this paper, in this shift, there are three elements. In this question, they are saying there are three elements are there: X, Y, Z, and oxide of X, Y, Z are basic, amphoteric, and acidic. See, and the third grade elements, if you see, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, and noble gas. If you leave noble gas aside, because anyway it does not form any oxide, then if you look at these elements, all are third period elements. And across a period, oxides acidic strength increases from left to right. Acidic nature of oxides increases from left to right. Actually, there is a reason for it. It depends on the Fazan's rules. Actually, in Fazan's rules, we know if cation size is small, then it has more covalent character. So what happens? The size is decreasing. So therefore, covalent character increases in oxides. So that is the reason why actually acidic nature increases from left to right, because covalent oxides are more acidic nature, and ionic oxides are more basic nature. Since covalent character is increasing, therefore acidic character also increases. These two are connected. Okay. Now, so if you see sodium and magnesium, these are ionic oxides, and amphoteric Aluminium is a amphoteric oxide, and the rest all silicon to chlorine, all these are acidic oxides. So here they are saying oxide of S is basic, that means X falls under among sodium or magnesium, and Y is amphoteric, so Y must be aluminium, and Z is, they are saying, acidic in nature, so Z must be falling here. Therefore, if you see the atomic numbers, atomic number of Z is greater than Y is greater than X, that is satisfying with only this. So this is the right answer. In this question, it is said that there are elements A and B do not form a solid bicarbonates but react with N2. Now here, remember one thing, when it comes to bicarbonates, what are the bicarbonates which form solid? Solid bicarbonates, remember one thing, group 1 bicarbonates except lithium. Lithium bicarbonate except lithium, if you take lithium bicarbonate exists only in the solution state, except lithium, all group 1 bicarbonates can exist in the solid state. And apart from that, remember one more bicarbonate which can exist in the solid state, ammonium bicarbonate. So apart from these two cases, whatever bicarbonate is given, whether it is a silver bicarbonate, magnesium bicarbonate, whatever bicarbonate, that exists only in the solution state, not exist in the solid state. Now they are saying, so in the options, if you see solid bicarbonates which can exhibit, second is a group 1 elements, third magnesium is there. Magnesium I already mentioned here, it cannot exhibit solid bicarbonate, and calcium, sodium does not exhibit solid bicarbonates. So if you see the options, sodium is given, rubidium is given, cesium is given, lithium is given, calcium and magnesium is given. Now, which do not form solid bicarbonates? This will not form, do not form solid bicarbonates. So the rest three can form. Okay. So in the first option, CS is there. So that's why you can eliminate that. Now second option, rubidium and sodium, again you eliminate that. Third, lithium and magnesium. Yes, lithium and magnesium both do not form solid bicarbonates, satisfies, and calcium and sodium. Again, sodium will not satisfy the condition, eliminate it. So directly from here itself we are getting option 3 is right. But check one more point which is given in the question, that they react with N2 to give nitrates. And we know that lithium, in group 1 only lithium element react with the nitrogen to form nitride. And similarly in group 2, all elements will react with nitrogen. So magnesium also reacts with nitrogen to form magnesium nitride. So they are forming nitrides in option 3 elements, and also they do not form solid. Both are satisfying. So therefore answer is, in this question, structure of SF4 is asking, and including the lone pairs. You have to consider the lone pairs also in the final shape, and you have to tell the shape of the total or structure of the total SF4. Now, in such cases, remember one thing, whenever structures is asked, calculate this H, hybridization first. How to calculate hybridization? Look here, there is a formula which is there in your NCERT also, that valence electrons of central atom plus number of monovalent atoms minus cationic charge plus anionic charge. This is the valence electrons of central atom, whereas this is number of monovalent atoms. Monovalent atoms surrounding central atom. What are the atoms surrounding the central atom? In that monovalent atoms only you have to take into consideration, where C is cationic charge and A is anionic charge. Now in this, SF4 is there. Now SF4, what is central atom? This is the central atom, and this is the monovalent. All halogens are, what are the monovalent atoms? Halogens and hydrogens. Remember this. So monovalent halogen is there, and all halogens are here monovalent here. Therefore, now if I calculate first H formula in order to apply, I need to know valence electrons also. So here valence electrons of central atom, if you have to calculate, first you have to write the configuration. Now we know that sulfur configuration is neon 3s2 3p4. So it has how many valence electrons total? Valence electrons are 6. So now put in the formula, H is equal to half of 6 plus how many monovalent atoms? There are 4 halogens are there, all are monovalent. So therefore, and there is no charge, it is neither cation and nor anion, so therefore there is no charge, Cr. So therefore now if you calculate 6 plus 4, 10 by 2, 5 you will get. That means how to find hybridization if you get H value 5? See, hybridization, suppose if I take sp3, in this powers you see 1s and 3 p's are involved. So 1 plus 3 is 4, but we need to get up to 5. So if we take one orbital d, then 1s, 3p and 1d, total if you count 1 plus 3 plus 1, 5 you will get. So it is sp3d hybridization. So in this manner you have to find once you get the value of H. Now after getting hybridization, now sp3d hybridization structure is like this. There will be sulfur up and down. So it is a trigonal bipyramidal, TBP is the geometry. This is the geometry. Now in this geometry, electron domain geometry, now here if you see lone pairs, how many lone pairs are there in this compound? Just like a hybridization, how you find with the formula, similarly you can find lone pairs also by using this formula, H minus Sa. H is the value which you have calculated, hybridized number, H value 5, and Sa is what? Sa is the surrounding atoms. Here it is not monovalent atoms, all surrounding atoms around central atom you have to count. Anyway, in this present example, all are halogens only, monovalent only, but all you have to count here and put. So H value is 5 obtained earlier, and in SF4, how many surrounding atoms are there surrounding the central atom? 4 atoms are surrounding the central atom. So take that 4. So this will be 1. So there is one lone pair present. Okay. So this one lone pair, how you have to arrange? Whenever triangular bipyramidal structure is there, always lone pair first prefer to be arranged on the equatorial position. That is the rule you have to follow in order to minimize the electron-electron repulsions. Ultimately, they have to be present on the equatorial position. Verticals are the axial positions. This is equatorial position, and whereas these are axial positions. This is again equatorial. So you have to arrange in such a way that lone pairs, maximum lone pairs has to be present on the equatorial positions. Suppose if 2 are there, then also we will put in the equatorial. If 3 are there, we will put on the equatorial. If 4 lone pairs are there with sp3d, then 3 we will put on the equatorial and 1 we have to place on the axial. So first equatorial to be given priority. So here one lone pair I am putting here. The remaining 4 fluorines I will distribute 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now here, if they ask only the shape of the molecule, then we would say it's a seesaw shape, because only when you consider the shape of the molecule, only bonds you have to consider. So the fluorines, only if you consider attachment to the sulfur, it appears to be like a seesaw. But in this case, in this example, they are saying, if you see the question, including the lone pairs, they are asking the structure, not excluding the lone pairs. When they ask for when we look at the shape of the molecule, we will exclude the lone pairs and we will see the shape, and which comes out to be seesaw. But they are asking us to include lone pairs also along with all other bond pairs, and then see the shape, what shape we will perceive. Now if you include lone pairs also, then you will see total structure will be trigonal bipyramidal geometry. So therefore trigonal bipyramidal geometry is the right answer for this one. So which is given in the second one. So this is the right answer for this. In this question, they are asking for XeF5 minus and XeO3F2 structure. And here they are not mentioning include the lone pair or not. So therefore, if they don't mention anything, then don't include the lone pair. Just look at the bond pairs and decide the structure. Now here XeF5 minus. First let's take this one. If XeF5 minus if I take, then H value if I have to calculate, half of valence electrons of central atom. Now what is the valence electrons in the xenon? Valence electrons of xenon will be 8 because it is a noble gas. So noble gas has a valence electrons of 8. And so half of H plus monovalent atoms, half of valence electrons plus monovalent atoms minus cationic charge plus anionic charge. This is the formula. When you apply that, you will get half of 8. Monovalent atoms are how many? 5 halogens are surrounding the xenon. So 5, and there is no, it is not a cation, so nothing comes there, and it is an anion of charge 1. So therefore only magnitude you have to take in the place of C and A, and magnitude is 1. I am putting that. So now you will get 7. 7 means sp3 1 plus 3 4, and d3 then 1 plus 3 plus 3 if you add, you will get 7. So satisfying the given value. Therefore it is an sp3d3 hybridization. So sp3d3 hybridization means it has a geometry like this, pentagonal bipyramidal. This is the geometry. That means you have to take a pentagon and upside one and downside one bond like this. If this is a central atom xenon, so like this pentagonal bipyramidal. Now we know there are 5 bond pairs are there with the xenon. Okay, and how many lone pairs are there? You can calculate the lone pairs also using the formula which I discussed earlier. So lone pairs will be what? Lone pairs formula H minus number of surrounding atoms. That means we got H value as 7 and number of surrounding atoms are 5. So therefore you are getting this as 2. That means there are 2 lone pairs are there and there are 5 bond pairs are there with the 5 fluorines. So let's distribute them, all of them. So you will get xenon up and down. So you have to place these lone pairs in the axial positions. So lone pair you place here, 1, 2, and remaining 5 fluorines I will place on the pentagonal plane. So now the shape will be, when they ask for the structure or shape, consider the only bond pairs, don't go for the lone pairs. So all bond pairs between xenon and fluorine, if you take all bonds, they are in the one plane of pentagon. So therefore this will be pentagonal planar, that is the structure or shape. Next molecule, one more molecule is given here, that is XeO3F2. So that also let's see what is the structure in the similar way. XeO3F2. XeO3F2, H value is what? Half of 8 plus 2. Why I have taken 2? Although there are 5 surrounding atoms are there, 3 oxygens and 2 fluorines, but you have to take only monovalent atoms. Oxygen is a divalent atom. Only halogens are monovalent. So that's why I have taken only halogens here. So 8 plus 2, and it does not have any charge. So other values are 0. So it is 5, that means sp3t. So 5 only you will get in that case. That means it is a geometry wise, it is a trigonal bipyramidal. Now calculate the lone pairs and see. Now lone pairs if I calculate, H minus Sa, which is 5 minus number of surrounding atoms. Total surrounding atoms you have to take here in this formula. So that is total 5. So that means there is no lone pairs present there. So therefore, if you present all of them on the structure, xenon, since there are no lone pairs, all atoms you have to place on these positions. So fluorines and oxygens, all if you place, then you will get oxygen will have a double bond because it's a divalent atom. So you can write pi bonds also between oxygen and the xenon. Now the structure or shape, if you say this one will be a trigonal bipyramidal, TBP. So first one is a pentagonal planar, second one is a trigonal bipyramidal. So which is satisfying with only one option, that is first one, pentagonal planar and trigonal bipyramidal. So this is the right answer. In this question they are asking the one which is not expected to show isomerism. So which is not showing any isomerism at all. Let's take the first one. So let's take this one. So NiNH3 taken 4, H2O taken twice, plus 2. Now we know that this exhibit, we know this is octahedral structure. So if you draw octahedral structure, you can put ammonias here and water molecules on the trans position. So this is trans, and we can also place them in the adjacent position like this. The remaining ammonias are like this. Now this comes under the cis. So since it is exhibiting geometrical isomerism, this can't be our answer. Now second one, if you take NiNH3 taken twice Cl2. So this NiNH3 taken twice Cl2, this can be actually, since coordination number is 4, it can be square planar if hybridization is sp2, or it can be tetrahedral if hybridization is sp3. Now let's check which one it will satisfy. See, here nickel oxidation state is +2 state. Nickel oxidation state wise, if you write electronic configuration, so this is the electronic configuration of nickel +2, 4s0 and 3d8. Now here, as you see, there are two unpaired electrons are there. Suppose if these electrons pair up, then you will get dsp2 configuration because d will become vacant. Then if these electrons don't pair up, then only sp3 configuration is possible. So and remember one thing here, if strong field ligand and weak field ligand, if you compare, if number of strong field ligands are greater than the weak field ligand, then pairing takes place. Inside 3D. If number of strong field ligands equal in number or less than number of weak field ligands, then no pairing. So you have to remember this rule. Now if you follow this, now here NiNH3 twice, Cl twice. Now chlorine, ammonia is a strong field ligand, chlorine is a weak field ligand. Now both are actually equal in number. So when they are equal in number, then no pairing takes place. So therefore here electronic configuration will be nickel +2, 3d, 8, and no pairing takes place, and 4s is vacant. Since there are 4 ligands are there, total ligands are how many? 4 ligands. These 4 ligands, 2 ammonia and 2 chlorines, there are 4 ligands. These 4 ligands require 4 vacant orbitals in order to donate their electrons. So one ligand will uses S, other ligand will use the remaining P. In other words, these 4 orbitals will get hybridized in the sp3 form to help the 4 ligands to donate their electrons. That is why hybridization is sp3 and it is a tetrahedral, so it does not exhibit any geometrical isomerism also and no optical isomerism anyway. Therefore, this compound does not show any isomerism. So this is correct option. Let's see why others are wrong also. So Pt NH3 twice Cl2. Let's take that one also. So if you take Pt, now platinum is in +2 state. Now remember, platinum or palladium, when they are in +2 state, they always exhibit square planar complexes irrespective of ligands. Whether it is a strong ligands are there, weak ligands are there, or how many strong, how many weak, irrespective of ligand, they always form the square planar complexes. Now, this is an exceptional case. So if you take that thing and square planar if you form, so if ammonia and ammonia adjacent like this, it is a cis compound, and if ammonia and chlorines are opposite, it is a trans compound. Like that, it will exhibit geometrical isomerism. Next, last compound also let's check, that is NiEn thrice. Now NiEn thrice if you take, it will exhibit optical isomerism. Ni, there is a like this. This compound does not show geometrical isomerism because this exists only in this manner. It cannot have any other different attachments. And what isomerism it will exhibit, if you take its mirror image, its mirror image will be looking like this. Now this mirror image will not superimpose on its on the original one. So they are non-superimposable. Therefore, optical isomers. They are optically active, both are enantiomers. And here you can check without drawing and without superimposing. You can check by the shortcut that if you see any plane of symmetry or center of symmetry in the original molecule, then you can say without drawing the mirror image, you can directly say, since plane of symmetry or center of symmetry is existing, it will definitely superimpose on its mirror image. That's just shortcut. So as you see here, there is no plane of symmetry or center of symmetry possible in this. Therefore, you can directly say this mirror image will be an optical isomer of this one. So that's why actually in the given options, only second option is right. Third option, fourth option is also wrong. Next, cast iron is used for the production of. See, in metallurgy, this concept comes. Pig iron. First, when in the blast furnace, when the iron is prepared, it comes in the form of pig iron. It is actually less purity, and in fact, in the iron cases, this is the lowest purity you can say. Now after that, if you purify this one, then next is cast iron comes. It is better purity. Iron wise, it is better purity. And ultimately, from this, wrought iron is prepared. This is highest purity. Iron percentage will be more in this. Now, in cast iron is also used in the preparation of steel. So in the question, so they are saying cast iron is used for the production of. Obviously, from pig iron, cast iron is formed, not the other way around. So here, cast iron is used in the production of. They are saying pig iron, pig iron, pig iron. You can directly eliminate these three, and you can only select the second option here. In this question, they are asking for the column A and column B match. And sorry, this is ion-ion interaction and dipole-dipole interaction, London dispersion forces. Now see, ion-ion interactions, they are proportional to 1 by radius, so 1 by distance, sorry, it is not radius, 1 by distance between the ions. If lesser distance is there, more interactions will be there between the two ions. Actually, we know that if there are two charged particles are there, then what is the potential energy between the two charged particles is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 Q2 by R. So in the same manner, here two charges are there, two ions are there, and what is the energy associated with it? It is inversely proportional to the R. And next, dipole-dipole interactions. Dipole-dipole interactions is proportional to 1 by R cube. Actually, this is given in the NCERT textbook in the chapter states of matter. In the beginning 2-3 pages, it is mentioned that dipole-dipole interactions is inversely proportional to R cube. You can find in the states of matter 11th class textbook. And London dispersion forces. This is also given in the NCERT textbook that it is proportional to 1 by R power 6. So, more or less, this is a factual based question. So, which is directly taken from the NCERT. So, correct option, right option for this is 1A and 2C and 3D. So, this is the right option for it. In this question, the absorption spectra of 3 samples are such that lambda A, lambda B, lambda C are order is like this. So, lambda C is higher energy, higher wavelength, lambda is lower wavelength. Then which compound satisfy this? Now look here, ligands, if you see order in spectrochemical series, the strength of ligands, if you see, you will see that F minus is a weaker ligand strength wise as compared to NCS, and ammonia is higher than that. This is the order you will get. And one more thing, there is a NCS where S also can act as ligand. If S is acting as ligand or S is connected to the metal atom, then it will be a weaker ligand. If N is connected, it will be a stronger ligand. This is an experimental results. Now, if this is the order, that means, suppose if I take fluorine, in case of fluorine, suppose if this is the splitting of d orbitals. D orbitals are split in this manner. Now this is the crystal field splitting. Now in case of NCS, since it is a higher ligand, strength wise higher than fluorine, so you may get like this. For NCS case, the splitting of d orbitals is little higher. Next, ammonia, if you take, ammonia is even bigger ligand, therefore you will see a higher split in the case of d orbitals for ammonia acting as a ligand. Now if this is the case, now if electron is present, let's say electron is present in the lower d orbital. Now if light energy provides its if light energy transfers its energy to the electron, if photon transfers its energy, now electron excites into the upper d orbital. It excites here. Now tell me, in which case excitation energy is high? In the ammonia case, excitation energy is high because gap is more for the jump. Therefore, this energy, whatever light is having, suppose let's call it E3, E2 and E1. So energy order, energy of photon order must be E3 must be greater than E2, E2 must be greater than E1. Then only these electrons excitation can happen. Now, if energy is like this, since we know that energy of photon is inversely proportional to lambda, because energy of photon is hc by lambda according to the Planck's theory, therefore inversely proportional to lambda. So like I can say, in case of lambda 3 must be less than lambda 2 must be less than lambda 1. Okay, so lambda 3 means actually what? Lambda 3 means lambda of ammonia, lambda relate corresponding to the ammonia, lambda 2 means NCS, lambda 1 means fluorine. So now let's see, this is what? So lambda of ammonia must be the smallest, lambda of fluorine must be the highest. So select now. So here lambda C is highest, that means it must be belong to the fluorine. it is the lowest, that means it must be belong to the ammonia, and middle one is NCS. So select which option is matching with this. Now if you look at this is ammonia is given in the A1, so this is A. NCS is given in C, so this must be C. Fluorine is given in B, so it must be B. That means lambda A for A, lambda B for C, and lambda C for B. So this third option is the correct option for this. Dear students, if you really understood the concept and if you think you really benefited from this video, then please subscribe, like and share this video. Dear students, if you want to take full benefit of these classes, please join our interactive live online classes. Thank you.